Hello and welcome back to my channel, Bookish Lady Night, where we get a look behind the book. Today, I am joined by the phenomenal author, Chelle Sloan. She is the mastermind behind some of my favorite books that include The One I Need, which is out on Audible now, so definitely listen to it because it was so good, and The One I Hate. And then there's also one perfect right now for Christmas, and it's called Off the Market at Christmas. So definitely check that out. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I originally found you by doing an arc read of the book, The One I Hate. So I started at the
Okay.
end of the series, and I'm like, oh, there's all these other books I can go read now. And so I kind of went down a rabbit hole and just
I
loved them.
appreciate rabbit
So
holes. I'm good with that.
I love that. I want to go live in that town, and I want to be all with those people, and I just want to be a fly on the wall. It's like I was that in the book. Like when I'm listening to the book, it's like I'm there as a fly on the wall, but I just want to go live it. I just want to experience it.
So the fun fact about that is it's a random made up town in south of Nashville, Tennessee, right? And Columbia is kind of where I just kind of like, okay, that would be X amount of miles or minutes from that place and that. Like, it seemed like for me, if I needed a map, it was a good, like, real life location to kind of give me mileage and distance and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. So, fast forward, I was talking to an assistant at a signing last year, and she was getting ready to move to Tennessee. And I go, oh, I lived in Nashville, where are you moving? And she was like, Columbia. And I'm like, no crap, that's where Rolling Hills is. So we had this good laugh. Okay. Again, fast forward, she gets down there. She turns a corner. She has no idea where she's going. She's lived in this town for 32 seconds. She passes Rolling Hills Church.
Goodness!
Swear to God, did not know. My friend Claire is the one who gave me like the name for Rolling Hills because I was just like in a brain fart, and Claire is really good at like naming places and banks and things like that. So like
Yeah,
that. So it's not like I went to Columbia and passed this church and like it all. No, this randomly happened.
that is so cool. I
Right?
love that. That's so kismet.
I know. I love it. I was like, okay, I did right. It was meant to be. That's awesome.
You have to totally go there. Like
I
you
know.
have to go there now and like
I
take a
know.
picture near it. That's so good. I love that. That's a great little tidbit for the book series. How
I
great
know.
is
It's just
that?
like that little fun fact that, like, again, kismet, like small world. Like, I don't know what like the correct term for it is, but it's just like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah. It just you knew it deep down it was meant to be, and that's just it's like your little marker saying yes, this was
Exactly.
accurate. This was
Exactly.
correct. That's great. So what inspired you to write the series?
So for the Rolling Hill, so I'm one of those. I knew when I became an author, total. I wanted to write interconnected standalones, but I wanted everything to have, I wanted the spider web. I wanted everything to have a connection somewhere. It was something that I always thought Melanie Harlow did really well. And she's one of my like unicorn, like when I first started binging, like romance books. And I loved how she always did that. So I
Yeah.
knew I kind of always wanted it to have that. So I started with football. And so I knew I like writing football, but I knew I didn't want to write that completely full time, like become an author, right?
Hmm.
And so I always wanted to write just, I have a group of guy friends that are like these four, like very different, but very similar, and just that banter, that like ribbing, but also like we will lay down for each other kind of thing. Like, what do you need us to do? We'll go do that. So I knew I kind of always wanted to write a series like that. And so I had the idea when I was writing the Fury series that I was going to spin it off with a retired player, return home, and I was going to finally enter small town, which is kind of where I always thought I wanted to write. Sports felt right at the beginning when I was starting. I'm a former sports editor. So, like, when I was kind of finding my path, it felt like the right thing to do. And I'm glad I did it. But I knew, like, small town, and it's even more of that. I've kind of learned it's more of the found family, the family dynamic. Like, that's whether it's set in a small town, whether it's set in Nashville, whether it's set in wherever, that's what I like to write, is that found closeness.
Yes.
So that's kind of how it all came to be. And then I knew I wanted them to have, like, I think everybody can attest to, like, when you find those friends that you have had for years, grade school, middle school, and you know why you became friends then, but like
Hmm.
if we were to become friends now, it probably wouldn't be because we're so different. But because we have been with each other for so long, and these are my people, to hell with the opposites, to hell with that you like to do things this way. And I like, we're brothers now, we're friends, we're sisters. And so that's kind of the dynamic that I wanted, with these guys. And why not do it in a fun small town?
Yeah, I know. I love that. I love the found family. And I love the banter. I love the chat group. Oh my golly. The chat messages are hilarious, especially in Oliver's book. And then now reading Sean's book, going back and forth, I'm like seeing the other side of like why he writes the messages he writes. And like I was
Yeah.
like, oh my golly, that is so great.
I didn't mean to do an overlapping timeline with that one.
Loved it.
Well, it was supposed to be partly was supposed to be the overlap. And then I started writing, and then I started writing, and then I started writing, and then I'm like, we're like 2/3 of the way done. I guess this is it now. Like, it kind of got
Yeah.
out of control. That's what happens when you're a pantser and you're trying to like foreshadow while also like it didn't it turned out great. I'm very
It
happy with how it
did.
turned out. But to see the original outline and plot points versus how it ended up, it's two completely different books. The only things that are the same, I think, are the tropes.
Actually going to ask you what type of writer you are, but I loved it. I think that you did really well with it. You wouldn't know that you
I
had a
have
whole other
become
like,
more of a pantser with every book.
yeah,
Like, it started with just like, I kind of did like 5 to 7 chapters at a time. So I would know like where the next 5 or 7 would take me. So that way, if I did get off the rails a little bit, I knew how to get back on and it didn't screw me up too bad. And actually, for the one I love, so book 3 in the series, I actually had to write it pretty quick. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to outline this all so that way I can just, boom,
yeah.
that I, it took me 2 days to outline and 2 chapters to throw it away. So
You're
that's
like,
when I realized that I was a complete pantser.
yeah.
Then in the one I hate, I pretty much pantsed it. I did have to go back and add like when the baby happened originally. So like it's coming out on audio, but obviously it's been out for months, so I'm not gonna like completely spoil anything. But like they get pregnant on accident, like chapter 4, when they like see each other. Originally, that wasn't gonna happen. It was just going to be him seeing her. They were going to be at the like testing, cake testing, and then it was going to go into all of the stuff about the restaurant and all of that kind of stuff. And then I realized by the time I got them there, it was way too late, and I wanted their story arc to be a part with the pregnancy and all of that kind of stuff. So I needed to get her pregnant sooner. So I actually went back and added that. Originally, I thought it was going to happen like the night the restaurant opened or something like that. Like she was going to be
Okay.
very vulnerable. They kind of started like warming up to each other, and it was just like this big moment and all of that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
love how it turned out. I think it was that's when I also realized that my first idea is never my best idea.
Love that. I loved Bug. I love both of them. Charlie, she is,
Yeah.
I love her.
But yeah, but now the last 2 books I've written have just been I know the tropes. I know ish the hero and the heroine. Ish. And when I say ish, like I did like a whole like try to figure them all out. The first line I write of him, I was like, it was, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, well, that's dull. And then I was like, "Are you okay, love?" I'm like, oh my God, is he British? I think he's British. And so that's what I say when I know ish. Like, because all of a
Yes.
sudden I'll get this idea. But again, like, and I think that's like, knowing that about myself is that I have to get like kind of the crap out first. And then it like really opens me up to like, okay, no, this is how it would be better. This is how it would be funnier. This is where you can build this up. So yeah, that's my like writing mantra is my first idea is never my best idea.
Do you do like a writing dump, like where you write out all the ideas, or do you just wait till something like really stands out in your mind?
I mean, I dump a little just to like see what I think is going to work. And that gives me like a very rough map to start on. And then I take it from there and see, like, okay, no, that actually would work, but just add like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or actually, that's crap. How are we going to do? You know what I mean? Like, it's great in theory, but it's not going to work for ABC reasons.
Yeah, I see. That's great. That's really good. I often find I'm a pantser in my like life.
Yes,
I
same, same.
try my best to like keep a calendar, and like my friend is like a planner and she has all the little stickers and all the things all everywhere, and I'm like, I want to be you, but I have no idea how to get there. So I'm just like
That is me.
procrastinator and
I'm the
like go with the
girl.
flow.
I am the girl that will buy the physical planner every year and use it for 3 days. I actually found a digital planner that has been a game changer.
I
I'll
might
send you the
need
link.
that info.
I'll send you the link. Yeah. No, it's I found like if I have it digitally, like on my
Uh-huh.
phone and on my computer, that works for me because I'm so like I'm 80,000 tabs kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I can plan if you need me to.
Yes.
But usually it's what's on fire next that I need to put out. And then, okay, you're only kind of on fire. I'll get to you later. Like, that's pretty
Yeah.
much how I live my life.
I feel like my brain is the internet superhighway. Like it's just like zoom, 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 zoom,
Yeah.
zoom everywhere.
Today, I was in the middle of 4 different tasks that I somehow started but then didn't finish. And like one was like I changed banks, so like my like Peacock membership didn't go through, so I had to like change my payment. One
Uh-huh.
was uploading a freebie onto book funnel. Another one was I was in the middle of doing my daily numbers, and I forget the fourth, and I'm like, I'm doing 4 things, just freaking finish one.
It's like me.
Yeah, that is my life, pantsing it
I
all
love that.
away.
I love that. I love that. Well, you have lots of company with
Pantsers
me for
unite.
sure. So when you were picking, your locations for your books or any of your books, is it usually somewhere you've been or you just are kind of random?
So when I was picking out when I was concepting the Nashville Fury for the football team, I knew I wanted a big-ish city, but not LA, New York, Miami. Like I didn't want like a super city, right? So, and I do like having a baseline reference so I can kind of visual it in my head. So,
Mhm.
I had lived in Nashville for a year, and so and technically the football team in Tennessee is the Tennessee Titans, So I'm like, oh, that kind of works. Like I kind of like having, so I can do Nashville. So that's where the Nashville Fury started. And then it just kind of sprung. And I was talking to my PA today. I'm like, I was born in the wrong like side of like I am a northern girl that should have been born in the south. Like I love southern food. I like the weather much better. Like I loved living in the south. So I kind of like still writing down there just because
Mhm.
it's kind of my way of still connecting even though I'm back in Ohio now. So yeah, that's where I started, and then again knowing I wanted that inner web, that big spider web, it just made sense to keep everything in Tennessee.
Tennessee. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. I was reading on your website that you like to write at Panera. I love Panera. That is like my jam.
I
Right
am
when I
a
take my kids to school, I go have mom time and I take myself to lunch there.
I am a premium. If you could be a premium SIP club member, I would be it. They all know my name. I usually go in on the weekends. I have a certain booth that I sit in. People like when I go up and people are sitting there and they're like, sorry, they didn't know if you were coming in today or not. Like, I can sit at other booths, but like, I prefer to. There's only so many plugs,
They need to put your nameplate
right?
right there.
Right. So, yeah. And it doesn't help that it is, if I hit all the lights, 4 minutes from my house.
Yeah. Ooh,
So,
that's good. Mine's 10 minutes away, but still, I love it.
So Sunday morning, I usually go every Sunday and I get a breakfast sandwich and a cinnamon crunch bagel. And then I'll stay for a few hours and try to knock out a few chapters
Awesome.
with
That's
me and
really
my.
great.
So here's a funny one that you'll love since you read the one I hate. Again, another fun fact into Chelle Sloan lore. In the diner, there are those women that have the dice game.
Yes.
They're my Panera buddies. They're real life people. I changed their names because they didn't want their real names in there. I was like,
Yes.
bless your guys' heart. But there are these three women who come in and they sit next to me every week. One used to work at like the pharmacy that my mom used to go to. And like, but yeah, they play this like convoluted game that I've been sitting next to them for over a year now and I still don't know how to play it. So I was writing it and I met them when I was writing the one I love. But at that point, like it was too far in. Like there's no way I could have naturally got them in. But I'm like, but Charlie's going to have a restaurant. They can
Yeah.
be in the one I hate. So yeah, they're based on real people and a real game that I sat next to while I was writing the book.
That's so cool. That's very cool. I
All
love
these
little
little fun
tidbits and little
tidbits you're getting
Easter
today.
eggs and little like behind the scenes
Yeah, right?
things. That's great. So being a pantser, do you make goals for yourself or like mood boards about so you kind of keep the aesthetic you're thinking in your mind?
I should. That's actually a really great idea. I should probably do that. I've never made a mood board for anything. Really, because I had, up until this book that I'm writing now, I have 1.5 million jobs. So it was really just, all right, you got 2 hours, right, go. Like, and there was very little to like have time to do otherwise. So, and I should do a mood board because I forget things the second I write them. And so I like my bad habit is I repeat a lot because I'm like, that sounds like a good phrase. Yeah, because you used it 4 sentences ago, like that kind of thing. Um, but no, I don't do mood boards. I wouldn't even know how to start one or what to put on it. It's one of those like it used to be really easy when I had the cover models, right? Like I would get the cover model and then I could start writing or I would know very specifically what I was looking for in a cover model. And like, okay, maybe I would need to change his eyes from blue to brown or something like that, right? But luckily, I got all the cover models before I started writing each of the Rolling Hills books, so I could like very much do that. And I kind of always just had in the back of my head of how I wanted each of the women to be with them. It
Mm-hmm.
just kind of, I don't know, it fit in my mind. But yeah, so no, I don't know. I use this phrase a lot these days, but like I just kind of raw dog it. Like let's just like
Yeah.
sit down and go.
Yeah. That's great. So when you're writing, like, because you've been doing this for a while, how do you celebrate your milestones?
I I'm sorry, my internet might be horrible. Can you repeat that? Because you
No
kind of
worries.
went in and out a little bit.
No worries. I was asking since you've been a writer for a while now and you've published several books, what do you do to like celebrate your milestone?
I usually on ARC release day. So like I don't know, I don't do anything in like when I because to me it's not like the arcs going out is like the first it's done, right? Because like at that point you're just catching like little typos that might have come through at that point. I usually the second I send arcs out, I go to Target. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't, and it's not like I know in my head, in my sane head, that they're not going to turn around and read this book in 3 hours and have reviews up right away. Like I know this takes a couple days kind of thing, but for some reason I need to be like they're gone and I'm now gonna like leave the computer and do everything for that. I used to get myself like Dunkin' Donuts on release day. So we don't cook on release day. I barely cook as it is, but especially on release day, we don't cook. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's my little celebration of that. But no, I think like at the beginning I kind of did some stuff, but now as I've like gone along, it's just kind of like another day. It's like your birthday, right? Like really fun at 21, really fun at 25, 30, 35,
Yeah.
and like they kind
Yeah.
of like, so I'm now like saving a big one, like if I crack the 100 or like a big, like release, then I'll, treat myself kind of thing. But for
Yeah.
now, it's just don't cook and, retail therapy.
Perfect. That
Yeah.
should be what I would want to do. Like, I don't want to acknowledge my birthday, like age. I just want to go shopping.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty
Just
much
go
it.
out and go shopping. Oh, what is your favorite like beverage or snack while you're writing?
I'm a Diet Pepsi girl. So that's usually that. Unless it's really bad and I'm at Panera, then we just went straight for the Mountain Dew. Like that's just
Okay.
straight sugar. Let's go. I'm a Twizzler snacker. Twizzlers are easy for me to grab, and Welch's fruit snacks.
So
Yes.
good.
Those are usually my thing. If I need like a salty, those like dots, like long pretzel sticks, or like those like not long, they're like this big. I do like the dots. So usually those
Dang.
are like my snack, like my snacks. So
Yeah. Your fuel while you're
and
working.
I try to drink water. It doesn't go as well as it should, but like it's there.
Yeah. I had every intention to be better at drinking water. I even got one of those water bottles that like gives you the times of like an hour break in between. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't happening.
No, no. For a girl who collects tumblers, I'm really bad at drinking water. Like, but I'm like,
Yes.
but Diet Pepsi can also go in the tumblers.
Yes. Yes.
Doesn't
I
just
do
be
that with
for
Dr.
water.
Pepper. It's very, very much the same for me. I have every intention. Like I told you, I buy the planner, I buy the water
Yeah.
bottle, I do the thing, and then it's like, whoop.
I used to have that water bottle with like 11 a.m., noon, 1 p.m. Like,
Yes. Yes.
I had
It's
grand
hard.
intentions for that as well.
Exactly. So you have a moment in your writing journey that you can recall that you were like really proud about or that stood out to you.
Like, I don't know if there's like one big one, but like the
Mm-hmm.
little ones that kind of pop up. So my first book was Reformation, which was actually published in Corinne Michael's Salvation Society world. And so like that was like I wrote it and that was like a proud moment, but I didn't do everything because Corinne was our publisher. So like I didn't have to do all of that. I think I remember feeling like a weird sense of pride after the first one because it was the first one that I completely did. It was no side characters. It was no like, because with hers, you're taking kind of like B characters or like her themes or things like that. So like I do remember like I created this like world like, and I remember like kind of that. I get a weird sense of pride when people come into my books on book like 3 or 4 and they don't get lost. Like, that gives me a weird sense of writer pride. Like, because again, for you, for example,
Yeah.
you came in at book 4, right?
Yes.
And like, obviously, like, it's that fine balance of enticing you enough to go back to read while also not taking you out of the current story that you're like, well, shit, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I need to stop this now and go back to the beginning, right? So I get
Yeah.
a weird sense of pride when I see in the reviews, I started in book 3, but had no trouble, like, continue, like, reading on.
Yeah.
Like, I feel
No,
like that's, like, a good, like, I get, like, yes, I get it.
totally agree. Because like I read the fourth book and I totally, knew what's going on. I like had the friends and the different characters, and then they were talking about their wives or their girlfriends, and I was like, I want to know about them. Like, I
Yeah.
want to know more about them. And I like, but it didn't take away from the story that I was in because I could tell their personalities. I could tell like their dynamics with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was all there. So I was totally not lost at all.
Yeah. And I think just like, and this is again a very niche one, but like I know accidental pregnancy is not everybody's favorite trope, right? Like it's a very, and I understand completely why, and I don't like, I know that it's a just not comfortable thing for people to read about, and no shade if that's one like that you can't read it. I completely understand. And whether it's an accidental pregnancy or just like, I really don't like, I don't know if anybody's ever said I don't like enemies to lovers, but it's the only joke that I can think of right now. But like, it really came up during that book was because they're like, I generally don't read accidental pregnancies, but I loved this one. And so like when it's just that like little sense of like, it's the little things that you do that makes you connect to the reader. So like, because again, writing a book is amazing. Like, I don't know if anything will beat like after the first couple, because again, I don't say it's a desensitized, like I'm proud and I love every book I wrote. Each one had its different challenges. Each one had its different points that I really loved about it. And so like they kind of all cancel up, but it's like those little things where you connect to the reader, whether it's I joined you in book 3, or I didn't think I could like an accidental pregnancy trope, or like you got me back into reading. Like that's like all of those little things that like those are what make me proud, but also like keep you going. Because like
Yeah.
some days it can be super hard, right? And then you're like, but I really connected with this, and I was a single mom too, and I'm just like, stop, you're gonna make me cry. Like,
Yeah. I actually did a little reel. Like, I don't know if you've seen that. They're saying something stupid. Like a lot of book talkers are doing that, and then they put like 3 tropes that they know that are like people don't necessarily like. And
yeah.
I did that, and one of mine was surprise pregnancy because I was like, I love that trope. So
And again, it's a very love or hate trope. Like the people who love it love it. The people who don't, again, I understand why they don't. And sometimes it's for their own personal journeys. Sometimes it's, I know sometimes authors, and again, this is your story choice, however you want to write your story. It's not me, it's your book, and you go ahead, you do you, boo boo. But like, they'll throw in the pregnancy at like in the third act, and that's part of the black moment or the breakup. When I do accidentals, like I've done it twice now, and both of them have been the course of their story arc. And that's what I like to do. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to use it just as a quick foil. Like,
Uh-huh.
I want to see the belly kisses. I want to see the like guy, like, oh yeah, I did your nursery. It's done. And like Simon buying like the $5,000 like stroller that is. She's like, we could have got the $100 one at Target. It's fine.
Yeah, loved that. Like that whole book. I want to
Thank you.
reread it. I want to reread it. Or I want to listen to it actually. I want
It
to
comes out
listen to it.
Tuesday or whatever. I don't know when this comes out, but on the 18th, yes, 18th is when it'll be out on audio.
Yeah. I want to listen to it for sure. Let me see here. So does writing energize you or does it make you tired?
So tired. I think it's the brain. It's the brain muscle kind of thing. So like I'll start on maybe not always tired, but if I had to go like yes or no on that, probably more tired just because, especially in the writing thing, I will rewrite a good amount the second time through, but I really want to try to get it pretty right on the first try. So,
Yeah.
yes, I'm rewriting, maybe not saying it that way, but I don't want to change a plot hole. I don't want to change like a big part of the scene unless I screwed up and I really needed to do something. But
Uh-huh.
like, so I really tax my brain on the first run through to get as much right as possible or to like, and then when I go back, it's, I just made that way too wordy. Let me rewrite it so I can, like take it from 20 words to 14 words kind of thing, or like, oh, I didn't love how I do that. Let's transition this a little here. So I'm not changing big stuff. So like
Yeah.
I think that's why it tires me out so much in the first because I try so hard to get mostly in story structure as correct as possible.
Yeah. So I know you did sports before. So did you always like in the back of your mind want to be a writer or did something lead to that?
So I was a journalist for 20 years. I was a sports editor at a newspaper. And I mean, growing up, I was always the English kid. I was always the writer kid. Like, so we always knew something with writing or in that vein was going to like be the career path. The romance writing kind of just came with a little brain worm that was like, think I could do this. Maybe I
Mm-hmm.
could do this. No, I can't do this. And then like let's try it. And then here we are. So like that was like that's the quick version of it. But yeah, so I think I always wanted I never knew I probably honestly thought growing up I'd be a mystery writer. Like
Uh-huh.
there were, like all the, I stole my mom's, Harlequin books kind of thing. I was stealing my mom's James Patterson's. Like my mom was like a big thriller, courtroom drama, like Pelican Brief, The Firm, like that was like the ones I was stealing. So I don't think that was appropriate for a 12-year-old to read, but it happens. So yeah, I probably honestly would have thought that. And then my gateway drug was 50 Shades of Grey. And then it went down
Yes.
from there.
Yes. I think that was a lot of people's
I have
for
found
sure.
that there's two generations of us right now. And your gateway drug, if you're yay balloons. Your gateway drug, if you were an OG Kindle reader or KU reader, 50 Shades was your gateway drug. If you're a newer reader, it's a Colleen Hoover book.
Humor book.
It's
Okay.
probably It Ends With Us. Like that seems to be like the two
The two.
like gateway drugs that I have like bigger ones.
Yeah. Huh. I kind of probably in the middle. I actually haven't read Colleen at all yet, so I'm probably more
Yeah,
the 50
yeah,
Shades
yeah.
then for
I mean, I remember I started that, and then I found out that like iBooks again like had like the 90, like the first, it was like a 5 installment thing, right? So like the first one was free, and that's how they hooked you. And then the next couple chapters were 99 cents, and then, well, of course, I at that point now I'm in chapter 5 or 6. I need to know what happens. Next thing you know, I've spent $6 and I've read this book, and my like reasoning was like, well, it's cheaper than a bar tab,
yeah,
and it's
definitely.
healthier than a bar tab probably. And then I learned what Kindle Unlimited was, and then
Never look back.
never looked like, and here we are today.
Rear view mirror, bye. I'm
Bye
taking off with
bye.
it.
For
Exactly.
sure.
So, have you ever had writer's block?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have learned my writer's block is my brain telling me this isn't going to work. Stop
Mm-hmm.
writing. Something's not right. It won't tell me immediately what's wrong or right, but if I'm so stuck that I have rewritten something 2 or 3 times, or I get to a spot and I'm literally frozen, it's my brain telling me something is off here. Go back and dissect it. So it'll usually be like, I originally had it in the hero's point of view. Maybe it should be in the heroine, or maybe this shouldn't be at the location it's going to be at. So, like, what is the actual, what do you need this chapter to do? Where else could it take place of? Does anybody else need to be involved in it? Is it just that? So, like, my brain will make me stop, and I've now learned that it's done this enough that I just need to step back and dissect and start like figuring out where the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Also too, I get, this isn't more block, it's more of the undiagnosed ADHD brain kind of coming into play
Is it
of,
kind of
I can't like, I can't be in the same place for too long of a time. So like that's why I go to Panera a lot, because if I'm in my office or my house all day and then I need to like, I just need a different scenery. Like,
yeah,
so I'll go to Panera, or, and that usually will help me like get the kind of the juices going again.
yeah.
So those are my two biggest when I have writer's block situations.
So you're like sitting still kind of could be like you're writing kryptonite, kind of like where you have to get in a different headspace or move because
Yes.
otherwise it plummets your writing.
Yes. And I grew up in a dance studio, and so like I did homework in loud music and things going on. So I think living by myself, working by myself, staring at a wall for 4 hours is just the complete opposite of what my brain was used to doing for
Yeah.
so long. So that's
Yeah.
why I kind of adopted the writing at Panera, kind of not in an everyday, because that gets really expensive, but more in the like, okay, we need, especially if I need to do like 2 sessions in a day, like I'll do one session at home and one session there, because my brain just needs a little bit of a different stimulation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So if you could go back in time to when you started writing, like in a time machine, and you could tell your younger writing self, is there anything that you would tell yourself knowing what you know now?
Embrace tropes quicker than I did. I was kind of like, I don't want to say I was anti trope. I didn't realize how important they were in the story. And so, like, my first book, and literally Reformation, like, Corinne asked me, she goes, "What are your tropes?" And I'm like, I think I forgot them. She goes, "How do you forget tropes?" And I blamed it on being a rookie. And she goes, "Well, they're kind of friends to lovers." And I was like, "Sure, great, let's go friends to lovers." Like, and it was, but like, I was very much like, art of the story, and here's the story, and the tropes will find their way if they're supposed to be there. And I think my early books would have been a lot stronger if I would have just been like, every one of them had a main trope. Without a doubt, they had a main trope. And I kind of just left it at that. And then I realized in the Rolling Hills series, and I kind of just stumbled upon this, but I
Mm-hmm.
had a character trope and an action plot trope. And when I had both of those, my storytelling got better. Like, the arc of the book and the characters got better because I had those more to lean on. And I don't know why I was like anti them at the beginning, but like it took me a little bit longer probably than need be to realize that you can have more than one trope, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't just have to be a friends to lovers and that's it, right? Like add in the single mom, add in the, a one bed, and add in a, this, that, or the other. So I think as I have
33
gone,
proposals. I love that
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. So like embrace tropes quicker, your life would be easier, would probably be what
Yeah.
I tell myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I love to try to figure out like micro tropes too within a book. Cause like, it's like a
Microtropes and I
scavenger
have
hunt.
we have a not great relationship because I like to call microtropes the whose line of it, whose line is it anyway? Like
Yeah.
where the tropes are made up and the points don't matter. Like you can make, I go on record and I've said this out loud before. You can make anything a microtrope.
Yes, you could actually. Yeah.
Like
That's
I
for sure.
literally was like eating ice cream off her. Great for trope. I saw Maggie
Yeah.
Gates. Like Maggie Gates is one of my good friends, and she like put out her like trope reveal today, but like a few micro tropes like she snuck in there. And one was both parents suck. I love it, right? But like, and so like I tried. I'm doing better trying to not only write them down but to write them. Like I forget to write them, or to me they're just moments, right? Like I don't think that like he looks, leaning against the door, for example, right? Like people
Yes.
go crazy for that one. To
Yes.
me, that's just a moment in the book. I would never, and so like this is also my trope, micro trope mind of like, no, write them, learn them, figure out what they are. Like, so I'm trying to, that's probably one thing I've been trying to get better with book after book, but I definitely should have told prior me, don't fight it.
Don't fight it.
Don't
Go with
try to
it.
be this like great wordsmith where the story will guide you, because now I try to go back and do those, like arrow graphics. I only
Mhm.
have like two things. Like I need people to like go back and read and be like, listen, make shit up for me. Find me some
Yeah,
anything, because I need to do arrow graphics,
exactly.
and I have three things. It's a really boring graphic.
Love that. I love that. So, within writing, what do you think is like the most difficult thing about like writing for you?
For me personally, sex scenes. My publicist tells me that I need a Xanax before I write them. And it's not necessarily the act of. That's actually the easiest. It's
Yeah.
putting in the right emotions. And it's also like I would say that I'm a three chili pepper. Like I say I'm solidly, and my average would be a three. Like I'm not in any means closed door or sweet. I'm not going to be the kinkiest, spiciest book you're ever going to read. But like I say all the words, I describe all the things. 40 chapters, there's usually five scenes, five to six that have some spicy elements in it, right?
Yeah.
And so it's actually hard for me living in that space of, is this too much? Is it not enough? What do readers want? What do readers don't want? Are they going to like that? Are we saying that now? What words are we using for this? Like, I don't know why, but out of everything that I write, that's the most that I get in my head about. And so, like, when I know it's time to write one of those, it takes me a full day. Like, that's like, I don't care how long, like, we're gonna, whatever the word goal is today, we kind of throw it out. We'll make it up later. I
Mhm.
did find in the one I hate, though, Drunk Hotel Hate Sex is really easy to write. That
Yes.
was actually probably the easiest, like, best one I ever wrote. And I think just because, like, that one can get a little bit more, the inhibitions can go out of the window a little bit more. You're drunk, it's a little sloppy, you hate each
Yeah.
other, so you can add that like extra level. That one
Yeah.
was actually really super easy, but like, so no, that for me personally, it is sex scenes without a doubt,
Yeah.
1000%.
So on the other flip side of that, what's your like favorite scenes to write or favorite part of the process?
Any kind of the banter. I
Yeah.
love banter, heavy dialogue chapters, especially like in the Rolling Hill series with the guys. Like
Mhm.
I could write their conversations all day, every day, like just let me get in a room with them and just let them go to town. And that is my absolute favorite, which is why I felt like I feel like I've kind of found my, this is what I like writing, in that like found family
Yeah.
group of, band of brothers, group of girls kind of, dynamic, just because nobody can banter with you like your best friends. And when you have that kind of close knit group, you don't even need to try. It just comes out.
I really hope that you write like a little like novella, like a little tiny thing later on and showing all of them later.
So, if I might do a shameless plug, if you will allow me to. So, I started a Patreon recently, and every month I do a bonus chapter, and it was going to be different things. I last month I it was the first one I did was last month, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want Wes and Betsy I want it to be trick or treat, right? I want them to go trick or treating with the kids and all this kind of stuff. And so then I had the idea to do Rolling Hills 2.0. So on the Patreon, it's going to live every month that the one of the four couples is going to get a bonus chapter. So like, a little bit from the heroine, a little bit from the hero, so we can kind of see them grow together, because
Yeah.
one day I do want to do a second generation with that series.
I'm joining.
So yeah, so I have a Patreon. So if you want to do that on the over there, but yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So like I said, last month was Halloween with Wes and Betsy. This month is going to be Thanksgiving. I believe I'm going to do Thanksgiving with Shane and Amelia hosting. And then I have to do Christmas with Simon and Charlie, because I need Lainey's first Christmas. Like, I
Yes.
need that more than life itself.
Yes.
Sometime I always wanted to see Izzy at a high school football game. I don't know why I had this. That was actually one of the chapters. Like, the story didn't fall right in terms of the timeline. I thought it was going to get like more into football season with them. But like, I just had this image of this power suit wearing, you know, lady who doesn't let anybody walk over her kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
going up to like the bitchy dad and mom behind her who's just mad that their kid's riding the bench. And like, they're like, I actually started writing it, but it was like, she's sitting next to Betsy, who can't say anything because her husband's the head coach, but her, she's like, they don't know who I am, and just like starts and gets kicked out of a high school football game. Like, I think that would be hilarious.
Love to see
But
that. Oh
also
my god,
too,
she
like,
would totally do that too.
yeah, right. But like, I realized that I really wasn't done with them. But like, also I didn't. So my hope is that I'm going to write 2.0 through the Patreon for however long that we can keep the ideas coming, which can also let the kids grow up, give them like their stuff as they start growing older. And then one day I'm going to spin off. So like, then I would put that all together in a lovely little collection, and then
Yes.
spin off into the second gen kids.
Okay, sign me up. I'm there. I'm there. Sign me up. Love
It's been
that.
fun. It was one of those, I was like, am I going to remember, like, especially with Wes and Betsy, like, am I going to remember their dynamic? Am I going to remember her, how would she say this? How would he say this? Like, the two people I will always have in my head, and they're the easiest ones for me to go back and write, are Oliver and Izzy.
Yeah.
Charlie and Simon are a strong second. And I think that's also because they're kind of going to be in the next series now, because it's his sisters, right? So like, they're always going to have that voice. Shane doesn't say anything, so like, that's easy enough for him to just kind of
Just
like,
friends.
yeah. But like Wes and Betsy, I feel like I wrote so long ago, it was like, who are those people? Like,
Yeah. You're
but
like,
so
I
it's
have to go
also been
back and
kind of
find
fun,
them.
like rediscovering their voices and getting
Yeah.
to do it just like kind of a chapter and a fun thing at a time kind of thing.
That's gonna be so cool.
Yeah.
So, which of the guys is like your ideal book boyfriend if you had to
Simon.
pick one? Yeah.
Simon.
Yeah.
Now, Simon also is based on a real person who I might have dated back in college. We're
Can no
best
longer
friends.
confirm or deny,
No,
but I
no, no.
might have.
We're best friends now. I'm actually the godmother to his son. Like, where it ended up in a very like, we tried, we were young, we were dumb, like, we're best friends. It's fine. But the personality of Simon, that like borderline cocky, confident, sarcastic, smartass, you don't know if you want to kiss him or smack him. That is my guy 1000%. On the other hand, I have never turned down a single dad romance. So like Wes always kind of has to be up there
Mhm.
because like literally you say, hey, I'm going to give you a book rec. Great. What's the trope? Single dad's done. Like that's
Yes.
literally all you need to sell me on as a reader. So like it's weird how like my single dad wouldn't be my number one, but also because I always knew was going to be the guy. Like he was my hero from the second I started the series. I knew he was
Uh-huh.
going to be the fourth. I knew he was going to be the fan favorite. Like I just knew that that was going to be the guy.
Seeing him in book three, like that dynamic, because he's like, you find out like that he punches the guy, and we don't know who punched the guy. We just know there was a punch. And
Yes,
then I like how he's like, I'm gonna dress you up, and I'm gonna like you tell me first. Like he's like the fairy godmother kind of.
he really is. He's like for the guy who is pretty cocky and pretty like likes having the spotlight on him. I love that he's also like the Robin Hood almost, or like
Yeah,
this fairy godmother, like that he likes doing things behind the scenes that like nobody realizes, or they do realize, but he's like, that's between you and me.
yeah,
And I kind of knew that was going to be his dynamic when in back in When I Want, when they're telling the story of how they all came together, and they came together because Simon was actually the one to defend Amelia back then. Like
yeah,
there was like all of that, like so he was always going to be that guy that just kind of was like, what do you need done? Done. Don't ask questions, we'll do it.
yeah, yeah. It definitely, he's definitely that for sure.
Yeah.
So, out of the characters, who's the most like you?
Ooh, out of these four or my whole back.
If it's someone in another list, you can pick if that's easier. Just who do you think is like your.
So I always go back to Sadie, who was in Off the Record, just because she was a sports reporter. So like that was I did put a lot of myself into her back in there. I have since joked that the Rolling Hills women each have a part of me, and I use this as like my therapy books. um, but like there was a little part of me in each of those four women. So like Betsy, it was changing jobs 80,000 times. I mean, I'm 43 years old. We don't want to talk about how many jobs I've had over the years. Izzy and the breakup and the ex, Izzy's ex is named after mine. Like that's the best part about being an author is that you get to drag an ex of yours. And that's where I dragged him.
Yeah,
Amelia just in the like looking for her confidence and the confidence isn't always there, very much related to me. And then just Charlie being a plus size woman like me. So like I did put each a little bit of me, and I didn't think I realized it until the One I Need, when I started really like getting into Izzy's trauma, and I'm like, shit,
like that's me.
that's me. And then I realized the things that I had kind of planned out for the next for Amelia and for Charlie, and I'm like, yep, apparently this is my therapy these days. Like that's what I was doing. So like a little bit of all in the four, but like overall it would be Sadie and Off the Record.
Well, I think like that's probably cathartic though, like writing it
Yeah.
out and then like letting it out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
It's very there is a power of the pen kind of like moment of just like, yeah. Yeah, it's not the worst thing, and you know you can make money off of it, and not pay for the therapy.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So when you are in your time to write, do you have like a daily like goal, like a certain scene you want to write or a certain chapter, or like certain word count?
I try to do word count. I've been trying to do word counts better with this book. I haven't written today, so don't ask me how it's going. It's not going great. But like my goal has been write every day, get your word count, and then on the weekend make up what you didn't write so that way you don't go into the next week on a deficit. That's been the plan. Talk to me on Monday and let me know because I'm way behind and I don't think I can make up this deficit this weekend, but we're gonna sure as heck try. But that's kind
Okay,
of my goal is like, all right, daily wordish counts, try to get as close to it as possible, and then on the weekend, just make sure you go into next week not behind.
being
This
behind,
is the
yeah.
first book I'm trying that because again I this is my first book as a full-time writer, so I have always had it was all right, you have 8 to 10 to write. write as
Mhm.
many words as possible. You can't really like just go. And then on the weekend, I would just go crazy because I had more, obviously, time. So this one, I'm trying to balance it out a little bit more. It's going,
It's
but
going.
in theory, I have concepts of a plan.
That's great. So, how does it feel doing this completely full time and not having those other
Still
limitations?
a little weird. Like I feel like I'm still on this like weird vacation where it's not, I don't know if like there wasn't going to be a moment where it was like this is where you're full time. And I think also too it's I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to retrain my brain to letting me get in more words a day because for so long it was 8 to 10. That's what you got. Weekends go crazy. 8 to 10 on weekdays. And so like I'll get it done before noon and then I'll be like, oh, I have all the rest of the afternoon to do stuff. And my brain's like, but you're done.
Yeah, but you're
We're
done. You're
we're
not
we're
doing it
tapped
anymore.
out of the creativity today, right? And so like then trying to figure out like, okay, if I'm not gonna write, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do this. And like really trying to frame it in the like I've been very loose in the phrase of a business that this has been just because when you're busy and you're going again it's those fires we were talking about earlier, right? What is the immediate fire I need to put out? And like
Yeah,
now I don't have those where I almost feel like I have too much time but also not enough time and what should I be doing and am this the right thing to like so it's still trying to get into that balance and we're getting there. It's
you're getting there.
slowly I have been promised by authors like don't try to force this like immediately, right? Like take the steps, figure out who you are. And it is really interesting because I would talk to an author friend and she'd be like, well, this is kind of how I do it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that makes complete sense. I'm going to do it like that too. But it's like my outlining. My first idea is never best. I kind of have to do it once to figure out what is actually going to be best for me. And so, like, allowing myself to have those, like, live and learn, adapt, make yourself, make it your own kind of things of how is this going to be best for you.
Yeah,
I would like it to be happening quicker, but it's going along and we're going to get there.
it's going at its pace of what it needs to
Exactly.
go.
Exactly.
So, when you're writing, how long does it take you to finish a book from like start to when you're like sending it to us?
See, that's what I don't know. I honest to God don't know this because again, when you've had 18,000 jobs and writing a book at the same time, there's never been a it takes me X amount of time. In theory, I want to say I can do it in 4 months. But again, that was with other jobs and other commitments. So like there would be 2 weeks in a couple chunks that I wasn't writing at all. So like this is kind of what I'm figuring out now of like my goal was to get this book that I'm working on right now done before Christmas. So that would be at about it would have been about 2 months. Like so like it was can I do it? And it's a loose deadline. I really have till after January to get it to my editor,
Hmm.
but like could I do it in that amount of time? We're going to see. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah,
this is really now again it's like how fast can you swim that? Well, I don't know. I was always swimming around sharks. Like it's going to be a different like now we're in open waters, right? So it's going to be interesting to see like what my actual writing speed is
yeah,
because since the first book and that was during COVID has been the last time that I've had nothing else.
yeah. That you're completely on
Yeah.
that. So, what do you feel makes a great story?
Characters like definitely like it all comes back I think to the characters. I think a good character arc, I think a good character chemistry with the heroes and the heroines and the side characters around them, whether or not they're going to get a book, never going to get a book, all of that. Like are the characters going to bring me into the plot? Because a lot of the plots I will always find interesting, right? And like, okay, I picked this up because, ooh, I wanted to see how you did this marriage of convenience with these two kind of characters, right? And I could love a marriage of convenience. I have found when I personally DNF a book or realize a book isn't going to be for me, it's because I can't connect to the characters and there's something about them that's just not it could be the best plot in the world. And I've gone through a lot of books where I'm just like, I need to know what happens. So I'm going to super skim because I don't care about this. I just need to know what happens. But it usually is coming back to whether or not how I've connected to the characters and how I've been roped into them and their journey and their arcs and their banter and their, whatever. So to me,
Yeah.
it's all about character development.
It's about the character. Yeah, I would agree. I definitely would agree. So, what do you think is your most surprising thing you've learned on this journey as a writer?
That writing is like 20% of the job. I was told this. I was told at the beginning, like, it's a lot more than writing. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then there's, okay, I got to do the social stuff. I got to do the newsletter. I got to make 18,000 TikToks. I have to manage 14,000 TikToks. It's just like, there's so much. You could fill an entire week of 9 to 5 work and not write once. Like, and I didn't realize how much that was. And like, again, I was told, but I was like, they're exaggerating, like they're trying to prep me. No, they were right. Like, so it was really like yes, you have to write, you have to find the time and you have to prioritize it. But man, it's easy to do everything else.
We're the Jill of all hats, Jill of all trades.
So many, so
So
many.
many. That's really great. So with writing and making your covers, do you enjoy that process of like coming up with ideas and having them come to fruition, or is it like very like nerve wracking?
No, because I am the most like I'm artistic and creative in this word space.
Mm-hmm.
Art, design, all of that is a very I am not good at it. I don't have I don't have any of that. So I very much leave it in the hands of my cover designers and like my team around me to help me like figure it out, because otherwise I'd be like a hot guy in a background. Now I did always enjoy, like looking for like the cover models. Like that was fun.
Uh-huh.
But that's
Yeah.
also a rabbit hole that you can go down
Yes.
for hours and hours. So no, like I am very like I know what I like and I don't like, but
Mm-hmm.
I also can't tell you what I want at the beginning, which I'm sure my designers just absolutely love about me and make me an top-notch client. But in my mind, it's like, no, I'm giving you use your freedom, use your creative juices. Like I'm trying, it's like the hairdresser, right? Like
Yeah.
just do whatever you want. But yeah, so I'm involved in the like yes and no of it, but like I'm not the one to give like and I want them doing this and leaned at a 42-degree angle and
Yeah.
like that is
The
not me.
technical part of it.
No, absolutely not. I'm trying to redesign my office right now and I have like 4 friends helping me because I'm like, I don't know what looks good.
Yeah. That's great. Well, at least you have a tribe of people
Yeah,
that can like
it
help
takes a
you.
village. It absolutely takes a village.
It does. It does. It definitely does. That's for sure. So within writing, because you have to wear so many hats, what is your favorite part of that? Like, if you had to pick.
Of not besides writing.
Well, you could pick writing, or is there another part that you're like, I love the writing, but I also really enjoy this part?
I used to hate Canva and Instagram. I don't say I like really love it now, but I like hate it less. Like it moved up on there for me. Honest to God, I love, and I think it's because I am an extrovert, but I live alone and don't see a lot of people. So like I'm cooped up. I love events. I love signings. I love being just in the room with people and getting to interact. Honestly, like I love doing stuff like this with like you and when we do like lives and that kind of stuff. Like I just love connecting to the world.
Yeah,
Like we're all here for the same reason, and it's because we love books. And
exactly.
being in that kind of energy with people is 1000%, makes all the, crap time worth it for me.
Yeah. Do you read reviews when you are getting ready after a release? Or do you stay away?
I will read Goodread reviews up until release day. And it's really just more for do they like it? Like, am I averaging 4s and 5s? Like, the occasional 3s are going to come in. Okay, if I got a 2 or a 1, why did I get a 2 or a 1? Because it's one of those like, did something slip by? Did I use a phrase that I didn't realize was now a bad phrase? Because that happens very quickly these days within social media, things like that. So I more or less read them to make sure that I'm not getting fried for something that I either the joke didn't land the right way. I used a phrase that like somehow slipped through 4 people, but apparently now is going around the TikTok land of a no, just more or less to gauge what the like vibe of the release and the reviews and all that is going to be. Once release day hits, I'll like glance at my rating just to make sure that it's staying kind of up there, because that's more in like when you're running ads and social like stuff, you need to make sure that you're sending them to a book with good ratings. So, but I don't after release day. Also, the really great thing about Valentine PR is that they pull reviews for you. So like they'll come and give you like, here are your best ones if you want to use them for social. So you never have to go in there if
Yeah,
you
you don't
don't
have to
want
like
to.
go
But
and
yeah, so
read
I'll
and
read
go
up
through all
to
of it.
review day. Yes.
Yeah, I really enjoy working with him. I'm on the flip side. So you're the author, I'm the
Yeah,
ARC reader group, and
yeah,
I think they're very organized and
for sure. Yeah. Well, I'm
they're
glad to hear
great.
that. I don't, obviously we only know the one side of everything, but yeah. So I'll read some and yeah. Oh no, I'm reconnecting. I'm so sorry.
It'll be all right. It's saying that on my side too. There it goes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, they're a great group to work with on the other side of it. So
Love to hear that.
love that. So what are some things that you do to become a better writer?
I know I need to read more. It's hard for me to read because I do think reading makes you a better writer. And I think it does help to like, what are they liking these days? What are some, you know, okay, you keep seeing this book all over Book Talk or Bookstagram or wherever, like, what was it about it? You know what I mean? Like, so I do think reading is important. I just need to do better at it because it's also a fine line, especially for me, of not getting imposter syndrome or like I'm afraid that, okay, I'm writing a marriage of convenience book right now. If I start reading a marriage of convenience book for research, am I going to accidentally copy something that I didn't mean to copy because it's in my brain? So like I think there's a fine line, but I do think that makes you better. Um, and I think I learned this from like, again, like authors like Melanie and Corinne and ones who have been around forever of never don't think you, okay, because I've published 10 books, 14 books, however many, that you know everything about writing. Like you really do learn about yourself and as a writer and grow as a writer with each book. And like craft classes, just because you're like, I know how to write a book, I don't need a craft class. You might not need it, but like, can you get anything from it? Are they going to say anything that kind of makes you, like
Change your perspective?
change your perspective on it? Or like, again, I went to a writers conference and there was a little session on writing sex scenes. You bet your ass I was like, Zoom, can I sit,
Yeah.
can I just buy a repeat ticket and sit through this, 3 times kind of thing. But just you'll always have something to learn, and don't be afraid to like go out and try to make yourself better, however that would be for you to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice for sure. So what would you think your love language is? Since you're a romance author, I always like to ask.
Ooh, I am very much an acts of service, like how I show it or how I receive it. Okay, so I receive acts of service, like, and that comes out very clearly in my heroines. Like, words don't
Yes.
mean crap.
I think
Show
that's
me.
why I relate to them so much, because I'm always
Yeah,
like, it's what you do, not what you say.
exactly, exactly. And I have realized I'm like, maybe I should make some of their like love languages a little different and not keep projecting myself into them. But it also helps because in romance books, it's that moment, it's that swoon moment when the guy does an act of service that like just gets her. So it's hard to like get out of it, but also like it works so good.
Yes.
And then I think how I would go, let me see. Probably acts of service. I would say like acts of service quality time would be like my like top two. I'm trying to remember the test I took a million years ago.
Yeah. It's like acts of service, words of affirmation, gift.
That's not it, 'cause I'm broke.
Yeah. I can't remember the other one,
Yeah,
but
I
those
think
are
it's more. I think it was like my top two were also acts of service and quality time.
quality time. Yeah. Yeah. Great. So I have like 3 or 4 more questions. I know we're getting to the end of it. So what is something unique or quirky that we maybe don't know about you?
Ooh. I feel like this is like the tell me a funny joke, and I don't know any jokes right now. Trying to think what's like fun or quirky about me. I mean, the funny story that I always tell everybody is that Candace Cameron blocked me on Twitter, and then I dedicated a book to every Hallmark movie except the ones that she's in. So like, I call her like my own personal, like, like there was that TikTok sound that went around a couple years ago about like who's your celebrity beef that doesn't know that you have a celebrity beef, and
Yeah,
that's mine.
that's
That's mine.
her. Yeah.
Let's see what else. I don't know. I feel like I'm very boring.
Do you have a hobby that
I'm
you?
learning to bake. I started baking last year at Christmas. No, I don't have I don't have hobbies, which is probably a bad. Like I turned my hobby into a career, and so now I never replaced the
So
hobby.
did I. Well, I went to school for fashion design, and I love to make like cards, like greeting cards. So I make 3D box cards of books. That's I did the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I collect Tumblr, but that's just a problem. That's because I have too many in my cupboards now. But yeah, I can't really
Baking.
think of any.
So
I think
what have
about it
you
like
baked that you really liked?
I started making these raspberry thumbprint cookies that are delicious. I want to say I perfected my grandmother's chocolate chip cookie recipe, but then I found out later in her life that her secret chocolate chip recipe that I thought was the best chocolate chip recipe ever was actually just the one on the back of the Nestle bag.
I actually heard about that in a book. That's actually I just read that in a book from someone else where they thought it was like their grandma's recipe, and then it was like on the back of the package. She's like, it's the same thing. She was so devastated.
She and she recently passed, bless her soul, but she cracked me up. It was my first Christmas gone. I was living in Alabama and I wasn't able to come home for Christmas. I came home like middle of December, right?
Yeah,
But I wasn't there for the day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make myself a few of the foods just so I feel like I have a little something of home, here in Alabama. And I wanted to make her cookies. So I messaged her, hey, want to do this? Can you send me the recipe? She goes, just go buy the Nestle bag. And then, like a year later, I was like, wait, your deep, dark, and delicious brownies? And she goes, triple chocolate chunk on the Betty Crocker box. Is there anything real?
oh,
But yeah, yeah. So I'm baking, and like, so this Christmas will actually be fun because like in the like since she has passed, like all of her cookies now I'm like trying to make them all. So that will be my hobby coming up this Christmas is me making 18 different kinds of cookies.
I love that. I love that. That yeah, that's great. Well, you can add to it, and like you can make it your own now. You can add different like ingredients and different things to change it.
Right? I feel
Make
like
your
I
own.
have to like I don't know if it's one of those like yes I should make it my own or also like just keep the ruse going.
Yeah, you could do that. You definitely could do that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to
Well,
figure out.
we'll see what I'm feeling that day.
Exactly. So, what is something that you do after besides Target? Is there anything else you do to like unwind after you've released?
Usually no. It's, like I'll let myself doom scroll on the TikTok. I'll probably turn on the comfort whatever is like my current comfort show.
Mm-hmm.
Which is usually like a rotation of The Office, Psych, and New Girl. Like those are kind of my like rotation. I will sometimes like put off like a show or a documentary or something. I do like watching like documentaries and stuff. So, but like I won't watch it when I'm in crazy mode. So I'll save it for after so I can actually sit back and enjoy it or do that. So I usually do keep one show or something behind where, because usually at night it's, yes, there's a TV on, but my laptop's on my desk and I'm doing my social stuff or doing all that. But like, at least for a couple days after release, I can like keep the laptop desk over there,
Yeah.
just get some snacks, turn on the TV, and actually just like relax.
Yeah. So, what's coming up next? Like right next for you?
So I am now in the Guide to Love series. So Runaway Bride just came out last month. So now I'm writing the Single Mom's Guide to Love, which is
See,
yeah. No, so
I think it restarted.
okay,
Okay.
sorry about that. No, so now we're in Single Mom's Guide to Love, Marriage of Convenience, Billionaire Romance. Which
Love
and
that.
it's super fun to write because normally in a marriage of convenience with a billionaire, it is a down on her luck single mom who needs him. She's a six-figure business owner. So why does she need to be in a marriage of convenience with a billionaire. Stay tuned.
Love
Yeah,
that.
so I'm taking a little spin on it. It's been super fun. And he's from earlier, he's the one who I was like, wait, he's British. So that's also fun. So
Yeah.
yes, I'm writing my first billionaire. I'm writing my first British guy. We're writing a single mom with high stilettos who owns her own like 6-figure business. So it's going to be very fun. It's going to be it's going to be a fun twist.
I can't wait to read that. I'm excited. So my last question for you is, what message do you want readers to take away after reading your book?
That I hope you laughed. Like that it was a good escape, that it made you laugh. If it was a palate cleanser, I've been told I'm a good palate cleanser, and I love that. I think everybody needs one of those every once in a while. You just need that like feel good. Like basically at the end, I just hope I made the book made you feel good.
Yeah. Well, you definitely do that. I can definitely attest to that statement for sure. So I definitely especially with the one I hate, it felt like it was playing out in my head like a movie. And even with Oliver and Izzy too. I love that. That whole book the 33 proposals. I was like, oh my golly. He's just like, why hasn't anyone gotten him yet? Like, it was just so cute.
Like, I would have said yes. I don't care if it was during sex. Like, I probably would have said yes.
Yeah. I was like, why? But then we needed to wait because he needed to find Izzy. So it was great.
And like when my favorite part of him is that he was just willing to be her friend. And like, stop it. Like, stop it right now. I know.
All of that was just so great. And then like the I don't want to give away because that one's so good, but like the things that he sends to her and the different things that he does.
I'll have to send you. I did a bonus Oliver and Izzy story last year for an anthology, so I'll have to find the link to that and send it to you because it was again more of the gifts.
Love that. I love that. Well, I would love to read that. I'm totally love that. I love the series. Yeah. I'm gonna get them from my shelves. I'm gonna order them and have them all there. And yes, I'm excited. So, but thank you so much for coming on today, and definitely. Like and subscribe. I'll put her information below so you can find her and her books. And then definitely share it with book friend, book bestie that would like the books that she writes. They all have great tropes: enemies to lovers, accidental marriage, drunken Vegas marriage,
David, I think
single mom, all of them. There's a little bit of everything, something for everybody. So I definitely recommend the audiobooks. They are phenomenal. The narrators did amazing jobs. Like, they brought them to life and it was just perfect. So definitely check those out. But again, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time as we get another look behind the book. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.